Sehra Nina are a combat-type technical fairy that's obtained from the Glory Day DJ Max X Girls Frontline Collab event by completing Glory Day E1-3. I can't find anything on these two. They're cheerleaders and they look like HMS Javelin from Azure Lane. That's all I have to say about them. When at max calibration and enhancement, Sehra and Nina give a plus 25% crit damage buff, plus 15% damage buff, plus 40% accuracy buff, and a plus 50% evasion buff. Their skill, Lady Maid Star, when at level 10, consumes 1 support point per use, and in the next battle, they buff the echelon's damage by plus 20% while debuffing all enemies' accuracy by minus 10% for 20 seconds. Sehra and Nina aren't good. Really, the only part about them that's good is how cheap they are to enhance, needing only 550 XP instead of 3000. Outside of that, she's outclassed by Airstrike, Rescue, and Warrior Fairies. Though she is able to outperform Airstrike and Rescue with their skill, Warrior still outclasses them. Speaking of their skill, it's countered from most, if not all, factions you'll be facing, mainly Paradeus and KCCO, all of which have high or sure hit accuracy. While the damage boost is nice, Warrior Fairy still does it better. She's also event limited, but you're not missing out, and they have no priority to be built. Suee is a strategic type technical fairy that's obtained from the Glory Day DJ Max X Girls Frontline Collab event shop, with 3 being available in exchange for 80 crowns of respect each. Guess what? I can't find anything on her. Haha, much like the other fairies. I will say the white dress she has on is cute. I also find it stupid that she has 2 E's in her name instead of the usual 1 for Suee. When at max calibration and enhancement, Suee gives a plus 30% crit damage buff, plus 70% evasion buff, and a plus 18% armor buff. Her skill, I Want You, when at level 10, consumes 3 support points per use, and scatters flowers on an adjacent node that is unoccupied by an enemy. Allies who battle on this node will gain plus 20% damage, accuracy, evasion, and crit rate for the next 2 turns. This skill has a 2-turn cooldown. Skipping over the same pro as before, that being the cheap enhancement for 550 XP instead of the 3000, Suee does well when strategizing and setting up against stronger enemies, compared to other strategic fairies such as Combo Fairy, who needs 3 stacks to be at her best, or Construction Fairy, who requires you to stay on one node and control it. Suee is much more lax in her requirements to get any buff, just simply battling or being on the tile that she did her little flower petal scattering thing on. But she isn't all that great, and really only saw use, at least according to Game Press and Matsuda tips, in the Polarized Light ranking. She's weaker than Construction, her aura is weaker than Parachute, and if you want a fairy that's more easily obtainable and a bit better, just use Landmine. For an offensive-focused fairy, she has a defensive aura, with that massive evasion boost being fairly useless against the sure hit and high accuracy enemies that are so abundant currently. She also consumes 3 support points per use, making her more expensive to use than a combat fairy. Low priority to use unless you want to waste resources just to do that Polarized Light ranking map. Finally, we have Preiya and Camilla, who are a combat-type technical fairy that's obtained from the Glory Day DJ Max X Girls Frontline Collab event shop, with 3 being available in exchange for 80 crowns of respect each. Still can't find anything on their characters. They're cute, I guess. Not really my style, though. When at max calibration and enhancement, Preiya and Camilla give a plus 22% crit damage buff, plus 22% damage buff, plus 50% accuracy buff, plus 10% evasion buff, and plus 10% armor buff. Their skill, The Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion, when at level 10, consumes 1 support point per use, and in the next battle, for 30 seconds, allies standing on the special red tiles will gain plus 30% damage and accuracy, but lose minus 20% evasion and armor. Allies who stand on the special yellow tiles will gain plus 30% evasion and armor, but lose minus 20% damage and accuracy. Blah blah blah, cheap enhancement at 550 XP instead of 3000. Though their talent is weaker than some of the better fairies such as Taunt, Parachute, and Command, Preiya and Camilla's aura is still good for offensive use, as damage, crit damage, and accuracy will almost always be useful for T-Dolls. And back to the cons. The location of where she places the red and yellow tile are random, meaning that the damage/accuracy buff can be in the front column, given to an SMG or an HG, while the evasion/armor buff can be in the back column, given to an AR or an RF, negating any type of echelon formation you had, and hampering the usefulness of the T-Doll on that tile. The red tile, if you have her aura at max, debuffs the T-Doll on the tile's defenses by minus 10%, while the yellow tile is useful, but suffers from randomness. Also, limited event fairy, no priority to build whatsoever. Thank you for watching. Please follow my Twitter for updates, and please check out my other Arknights and Azure Lane videos as well.